Good morning. Continuing my series on healthcare in America and personal stories, which next week, by the way, I'm doing a two-part series on a very personal story from a viewer. And I think it's going to open a lot of your eyes to what is going on in America. And you know what? Here's my thing. The title of this show is Good News Can Wait. And so I'll start with that. It's kind of a two-part show. Yes, I have a little bit of a new look. My hair's growing, and when it's curly, it's getting very tangled, so I colored it and I straightened it. So you can all let me know. My dog is spinning up a hairball. You can let me know what you think. I kind of like it. I'm letting it grow because I just don't feel like paying $50 to get it trimmed up. So we'll see what happens. Anywho. Good news can wait. Here's the problem. I'm a big believer in first do no harm, that oath that every doctor takes. And I think that whether it's good news or bad news, making a customer, I hate calling them patients because first of all, they have to be patient. So I think that's why they're called patients. But we're customers. We're paying for a service. We're paying to get well. If we don't feel well, we're going in for tests. We want to feel better after seeing the doctor, not worse. And that's another show altogether about how a doctor visit can actually make you sicker than when you were when you went into the doctor. But at the end of the day, and this is personal for me too, my husband had some lab work done on March 19th. And on March 20th, the lab faxed the results. That's how quick the lab was. The lab was quick. They faxed the results to the doctor. It was sitting on the doctor's desk. The doctor had the results. But nobody called. Now, the fact that this was a good news lab report might have something to do with that. But here's my problem. Good news is only good news when it is actually given to the customer, because the customer doesn't know it's good news. The customer went in for blood work, and we all know a lab can do anything. That's another show topic I'm doing as well. The finickiness and the subjectiveness of different labs that do your blood and how it can affect how you are diagnosed or not diagnosed with something. But at the end of the day, we waited a week, no news from the lab, no results, no call from the doctor. We waited 2 weeks. I said, why don't you call the doctor? Here's the thing, we did call the doctor. And here's what we got. If this is a life-threatening situation, please hang up and dial 911. There's no one available to speak to you right now. So either leave a message or call back at another time. Wait, what? See, I thought, according to people who are against socialized medicine in America, where everybody pays the same through taxes or whatever, we all have access to the same health care. And if we want the premium private health care, we can choose to pay for it. We don't have to pay for it. I thought we weren't supposed to have to wait. I thought only the people in England and Canada and every other free world country that has national health care, I thought they were the only people that waited months for tests and results and doctor appointments. No, see, that's not true. So we called on a Friday, we got no response. Called on a Monday, left a message, still no response. I said, you call them again. And we called around 1 o'clock in the afternoon. Someone answered the phone. We're like, the lab told us that you've had my lab results for 2 weeks, and I haven't heard from you. What were my lab results? And it was good news. Doctor's very happy. Everything's great. Okay. What would have been the harm in having someone who basically works for the doctor's office who just calls with the quick good news. It would have taken 5 minutes to call and say, hey, lab results are back. You're fine. Maybe even jot out a little form letter. Happy to inform you, all of your current lab work was normal. See you soon. See you at your next visit. And shoot it into the mail. It would have gotten here quicker than trying to get this doctor on the phone because they're just so busy. Again, corporation owned. Quantity. They got to see a lot of people. They're always on the phone or they're always seeing another patient. But if it's a life-threatening emergency, hang up and call 911. You know, it all depends what you consider a life-threatening emergency. What we did is we called the lab, which is awesome. It's called LabCorp. They did my husband's blood work. And we said to them, so the doctor has had the lab work. Could you send me a copy of the lab work of my results? And then my wife can just spend her day Googling the results to make sure everything's kosher. They said, absolutely. We'll put it in the mail. 2 days later, I had our lab results. I think the next time my husband or I go for lab work at LabCorp, I'm just going to say, when you get the results of this lab work, send them to me in the mail. Because I'll get those results before my doctor bothers to call me to give me the lab results. And it's pretty easy these days. You get your lab results, and if anything's flagged, all you have to do is Google it. And you can pretty much figure out if the lab overreacted or if something was flagged that shouldn't have been flagged, or you can just go by how you feel. And I get it. I get it that, doctors deal with seriously ill patients, customers, all the time, and that they need to get to those people first. Because those people need to, maybe go for more testing, boat. It used to say, if you owned a boat, bring on another 1,000. Basically now, when you are in the medical issues, when you have medical issues that you're dealing with, it's bring on another test. Well, that's going to be a show too. Got lots of shows coming for the end of this season. I understand that if somebody gets a bad result from a lab test, they need to be contacted quickly because they need to get treatment or need to at least know that they're suffering from something that could be life-threatening or life-altering. That's important. But see, I'm also a customer. I'm paying. I sometimes get a bill. We got a bill from the doctor for the office visit before we got the results of the lab work, which the doctor had. I will tell you the story of back when Planned Parenthood mistakenly told me I might have cervical cancer. And then I immediately went to a real doctor, a doctor that doesn't, work with people who obviously have cervical cancer or STDs, but I didn't. I never had HPV. But their lab said I did. So I went to a new doctor. I got a pap smear and an HPV test, and then I waited. Now, you talk about NHS people waiting. I waited. I waited 1 week. I waited 2 weeks. I waited 3 weeks. And all I thought about was, first of all, I'm pretty damn sure I don't have HPV and I don't have cervical cancer. I knew in my heart and in my head from the research I had done that I was not sick, that it was a lab mistake. But I really wanted to hear it from the doctor. I wanted that call. I wanted that letter in the mail. And all they had to do was just send me the letter. It would have gotten there quick. Finally, after 5 weeks, and all I thought about, now I know the doctor who did the test, he wasn't thinking about me. He wasn't. I'm going to get to that at the end of the show. He wasn't thinking about me. But I was thinking about me. Every morning when I woke up, I was looking at the phone. Is this the day? I'm getting the call. I want that call. I'm waiting. Every night when I went to bed, I couldn't turn my brain off because I'm waiting for the call. You guys know what it feels like when you've had a test done and all of a sudden a part of your body is in somebody else's hands, a stranger, a lab. You don't know these people. They don't know you. And they don't care about you. They're just doing their job. They're processing your blood work, your pap smear specimen. And you're like, oh my God, that's all you think about. So finally, I got pissed off. And I'll tell you what pissed me off was this was at the time when John Edwards' wife, Elizabeth Edwards, was suffering from breast cancer. Excuse me. She thought she had beaten it, and then it came back. And they announced it publicly on the television, and they said that she had gone for a mammogram like that morning, and by that afternoon, she was told, it's bad news. Your breast cancer is back. And I'm like, now wait a bloody minute. I'm no Elizabeth Edwards, right? But I'm an American citizen. I'm a human being. I pay my medical bills. I pay for health insurance. She gets her freaking cancer test results back in 9 hours, and I've been waiting 5 weeks. That's over a month. I'm going to call the doctor. I called the doctor. Please hold, Mrs. Luciano. Yes, Mrs. Luciano, great news. Pap smear's clean. You don't have HPV. I'm like, whoa. Why didn't you call? And how long has this been sitting in the doctor's inbox? Obviously, the results were there. I said, well, now you're going to send me a written black and white copy. I want you to put that result in the mail and send it to me for my records. I'm going to need it when I try to go for new health insurance, since Planned Parenthood's lab screwed me up. And now my health insurance company thinks I have the HPV, which I don't. So that, again, the squeaky door gets oiled. And it's another part of your job as being an American in this healthcare conundrum that we call, it's a quagmire. It's this maze, and you've got to navigate it, and you've got to try to come out ahead, and you can't. But you have to do the work, and that's not the way it used to be. For some reason, they sit on good news. They don't want to report good news. They don't want to call and spend 2 minutes going, congratulations, Mr. Luciano, your blood work came back completely negative. You are healthy. But we suggest you continue to do what you've been doing and follow up in 3 months. Perfect. That took me how long to say? You can't call me and say that? You can't call and say, good news, your pap smear was completely negative, you're fine, no HPV, we'll see you in a year. How long did that take? But they don't call, and we wait, and we stew, and we stress out, and we worry, because that's what we do. We might have freaking cancer. We might have a chronic illness, and we want to hear the good news. Yeah, I'd prefer if the doctors put off telling me the bad news for a few months. That would be... And then I remember I used to go to this one OBGYN that said after the pap smear, well, if we don't call you, then everything's fine. No news is good news. And then I started thinking, you know what? I think I want it in writing at least. Just send me a copy of the results. I think it's important to see it for myself. Because again, you just can't trust these people anymore. This first do no harm is out the window. And for those of you who get scared off of truly affordable health care for everybody, not just poor people with 12 kids, and not just millionaires who can afford anything they want, but for everybody. Don't be scared off by people who say people in England and Canada, they wait years to get an appointment. Guess what, America? We wait too. Right now, I have a viewer who is trying to schedule an EMG, and it's a nerve conductive test. And first, they had to make sure that the place they wanted to go that was recommended to them was in their healthcare network. Now they have to get the actual specialist on the phone, and they're probably going to be scheduled maybe sometime in August. How many of you here in America with health insurance have waited months to get an appointment with an OBGYN, with a specialist, even with a family doctor? Or you hear, well, I'm sorry, I'm glad we came highly recommended, but we're not accepting new patients right now. We wait too. And when I talk to my friends, I just got a new friend who lives in Ireland. Yes, they wait a couple weeks. Well, so do we. I cannot. Do you know what I did yesterday? I called my dentist's office. And by the way, my dentist's office, I have had so much dental work done that I'm a regular. They know me so well. Like, hey, Alicia, it's Paula. It's like, hey, Paula, how are you? I'm like, I'm good. How are you? I'm like, I really need that first appointment of the day for my dental cleaning. And every time I come in for my 6-month cleaning and they want to schedule me 6 months out, I can never get the first appointment of the day. My next cleaning is at 11 o'clock. That makes me nervous because it means that at some point throughout the morning, my hygienist is going to get behind and I'm going to sit in their waiting room, which I don't want to do. I said, how far out can I schedule my dental appointment? She's like, you can schedule your dental appointments for the next 10 years if you want. I've got the calendars. So what I did was I scheduled my November 2019 cleaning appointment, 7:30 a.m. Yes. And I scheduled my May 2020 appointment for my cleaning, 7:30 a.m. Yes. So you can schedule far out if you know you want something at a certain time, and that's a good thing. But when it's an emergency, when you're not feeling well, and when you have been blessed with good health and you don't have a real relationship with your doctor because you never see them, which kind of is a good thing, but is also a bad thing because they don't know you, they don't care about you. They don't have a personal relationship with you. You don't have a personal relationship with them. And so you're not a regular, which means your phone calls don't get answered. Your lab results don't get reported in a timely manner because you're new. They're dealing with the people who they have treated for 20 years, whose children they treat. Squeaky door gets oiled, but also the regulars. Think about a restaurant. You go to your favorite restaurant where you're a regular and you walk in. Hey, Paula, white Zinfandel? Of course. They're already pouring your drink. You get your favorite table when you make a reservation. They say, are you having your regular meal tonight that you always order? They know you. But when you are in good health, you don't run to the doctor every 5 minutes. And good health is supposed to be a blessing, but I submit to you, in some cases, it's a curse. Because you don't have that relationship. You don't see your doctor. Why would you waste your time going to a doctor when all they're going to do is check your height, your weight, your blood pressure, say listen to your chest and say, you're great, see you next year. Why would you waste your time? But when you don't do that, and I'm going to tell you a story next week about someone who hadn't been to a family doctor in 3 years, and then you call and you say, well, Haven't had a checkup in a while. I'd like to schedule one. Well, some doctors, bad ones, assume that the only reason you're calling is because there's something wrong. And my conspiracy theory on this one, which is very sad if true, is also, well, they haven't gotten any money out of you or your insurance company for 3 years, so they're going to make this visit count. So that's for next week. Very personal story from a lot of viewers. It's actually a compilation of several viewers. And then I'm going to go ahead and give you the very personal story. The reason and the job that I have been doing since January 11th of this year. And the paperwork generated by that job. And it all started out with something so simple. An annual Affordable Care Act covered visit. And by the way, when I talk about national health care, I don't mean Obamacare. I don't mean this crap about the government says, well, Paula, Luciano, you don't have any kids and you earn good money, so you can subsidize your neighbors. You pay more for health insurance, even though you and your husband have been healthy and you don't even have a family doctor and you don't go to the doctor and you haven't had a mammogram in 3 years or anything. You've never had an ill visit in 35 years. You pay more, so the people with 4 kids who had 4 kids and only make $30,000 a year but had the kids anyway, they get the health care and you get to pay for it. No, that's not what I mean. I mean that I pay the same as someone with 4 kids. I pay the same for the same insurance company, the same insurance plan as someone who makes less money than me. It doesn't mean that I get to pay more. True national health care means we all are equal. And the only thing that makes us different is that those who can afford and choose to pay for private, they can do this in England. You can have the NHS and you can also get private insurance if you want to pay for it out of your pocket, but you don't have to. Because if you need a pap smear, you get one, you don't pay for it. If you go for your checkup and you get blood work, you don't pay for it. It's part of national health care. You need your appendix out, you don't pay for it. Remember the show Tuesday, you don't get a bill for $4,900 because you went out of network with the surgeon. That's what national health care is. And just by being born in a country that has it, you have it. Little babies have it. Toddlers have it. Teenagers have it. You don't need a job to have it. You have it. And it's your birthright. That's what we need here in America. Because health care should be a birthright in the United States of America. It shouldn't just be for the super wealthy and the super poor. The super poor get it because people like me, middle class, upper middle class, we pay for it. And the super rich pay for themselves with no problems. It doesn't hurt them. So when I say national health care, I mean real national health care. Because I should not be responsible for your choices in life. I should not be responsible for paying for your health insurance because you have a job that doesn't provide health insurance and you've got 4 kids. I didn't make that decision. Why should I be responsible for paying for it? So that's my show for today. And next week we are going to be talking about some very interesting things that I hope, because a lot of what I did, and let me just show you something real quick. This is what I'm going to be talking about. This is the paperwork from what was supposed to be an Affordable Care Act annual exam. This is the paperwork. A lot of trees died for one little annual exam, all because of a really bad doctor and a corporation that owns the doctor's practice that cares more about money than it does about people. And of course, a health insurance company that encourages one thing and then does another. So next week's shows should be interesting. I can't wait to hear your comments. Please, again, you can continue to share your healthcare nightmares with me. And also, if you have a great healthcare story, if you have a health insurance company that is awesome, that has saved your life, that has done good by you, if you know a good doctor, especially in the Lancaster, Pennsylvania area, who has done good by you, never overbills you, always treats you like you are worth something, spends time with you, doesn't rush you through to get to the next patient to make more money. Please share those stories too. I love sharing good news. Unlike some of the doctors in my town who believe good news can wait, even though their customers really don't want to. Political Paula, out.